Hello, welcome to Movement Not Miracles. I am Anna from Eat, Move, Be Happy. And it's Tuesday, it's raining. The snow has gone, which I guess is a good thing, but it's a little bit grey and miserable. Anyway, so let's get on with some movement to help our upper back. So it's all about upper backs for today's Movement Not Miracles. The idea behind Movement Not Miracles is to give you some ideas on simple, easy to do movements, stretches to keep your joints healthy, look after your posture, stop things stiffening up and hopefully avoid some of those aches and pains that we can get when that happens. Most of us spend too long sitting, or we sit for long periods of time, which means it's really easy for us to become sort of round-shouldered and hunched down, and for the joints not to move as well as they might. And the stiffer we get, sometimes that leads to aches and pains throughout the rest of our body. So keeping moving is always a good plan. And so to start off with, you can do these seated or standing. I'm going to do mine standing because I've been sitting for quite a long time this morning already. So, as ever, make sure your weight is evenly distributed between your left and right side. Whether you are standing, that's between your feet, or if you are sitting, sit up nice and tall on the bones of your bottom. So not on the fleshy part of your bum. So sitting up nice and tall or standing nice and tall. And then we're just going to do some shoulder rolls to start off with to encourage some movement through our shoulders, movement through our shoulder blades on our upper back, and to get some stretch across the front of our chest so that we avoid sort of this round-shouldered posture. We can get a lot of tension in the muscles in the top of our shoulders and into our neck from this constant position. So we're just going to think of some nice, slow, deliberate moves. So your shoulders come forwards and then up. Oh, and they feel so stiff today. So it's just nice to move up and think of how much movement can you get through the whole of that shoulder joint, really squeezing your shoulder blades together on your back, in your upper back. Your shoulder blades should move, they should move around. That's what needs to happen in order for your shoulder joint to move. And then just to get a bit more movement through our shoulders, we're going to introduce our arms. So if you can, both arms up. I need to come forwards a little bit, otherwise I'm going to whack the wall. Might chop the top of my head off, but not to worry. Oop. Things on the wall. So all the way back and all the way down, still squeezing your shoulder blades together as you come through that full range of movement. Now, if you have a belt or a broom handle, something to brace your arms against, handy, then you can move on to using this. This, for me, just helps me get a little bit more movement, if I show you from the side, through my shoulders. If you haven't got a belt handy, continue doing shoulder rolls with the straight arms. So your arms are coming all the way over. And we're trying really hard not to let this happen. So we don't want your belly sticking out and we don't want your back arching. So working through your tummy muscles and your butt to keep all of this part stable. So your bottom, can you see, should not be sticking out like this. Bottom should be tucked under. These are not the best trousers to be showing this. So the bottom your bottom should be tucked under just to stabilise your lower back and protect your lower back. If you've got a big arch in your lower back, as you take your arms over, it can exaggerate that move. And we don't particularly want that. So bottom half stable. The closer your hands are together, then the more flexibility that is required in your shoulders, and we shouldn't be forcing this move. That's actually a little bit easy for me now. So I can shorten the distance. I just need to move away from the wall. Keeping my arms straight, and it's just there, that stretch for me there. You can really feel my shoulder blades squeezing together, and then taking the move all the way round and then back over. That's the bit that gets stiff. Our upper back does tend to move less. So the vertebrae in our back are designed to move, but obviously not move loads, otherwise we'd be like jelly people. We'd have no stability and no structure. So we do want them to move a little. We certainly don't want them to stiffen up, but our upper back tends to move less. And for me, if I've done, I know when I've not been doing my movements because my back gets stiff, and it is particularly stiff today. So I just want to work through that upper back. And actually I feel a lot more space in my shoulders, and I've got a nice stretch across the front of my chest as well. We're going to do some side bends now, lovingly known as bendy Annas. So I'm just going to widen my stance a little bit. I just get a little bit more movement through my side if I've got a wider stance. Again, weight evenly distributed. It's the same whether you are seated or standing. Can't speak. So we're going to reach down with one hand. Now we're going for movement to start off with, and then when we get a little bit more mobility, we're going to go for a bit of a stretch as well. So staying nice and tall, sitting nice and tall away from the back of the chair, and standing nice and tall, just like I showed you before. So we don't want that bottom sticking out, we want that bottom tucked under and nice and stable through the lower half of your body. And then we're staying in that nice sideways bend. So we're not twisting or bending forwards. So it's not this action, it's staying nice and tall all the way through the move, reaching down one side and then down the other, trying to keep some space across your collarbones, so trying to keep your shoulders back and down, so we don't want round shoulders to creep in, shoulders back and down throughout the whole of the move. And keep breathing. And then one more on this side, and then we're going to introduce the other hand. So now you can reach up one side, so you get a nice stretch down one side, and then as you bend down, reaching over, and we're just going to hold that for a couple of breaths. So this time we've got the movement and the stretch, and then nice and controlled all the way back up, and then swap over. So reach up first as high as you can, and then reaching over and stretching away with that top arm. And then all the way back up. If it's difficult for you to use that second arm and raise and use the overhead stretch, then continue with the side stretch and just hold that at the bottom as far as you can go. I'm a little bit lower than I was when I started, and then do the same on the other side. But if you can, introducing that other arm means you get a lovely big stretch down your side as well, and a slightly bigger move through the side bend, which is what we're aiming for. Okay, so I'm going to do some twists now, and I'm going to use the wall to give me some feedback. If you are seated, then you can do seated twists, so using the back of the chair to twist around one way and then twist around the other. This is just a variation if you are able to use the floor. So I'm going to kneel on a mat because kneeling on the floor can be a bit tricky on the knees. So just to keep things a little bit more comfortable, something you can kneel on, doesn't have to be a yoga mat like I'm using. It can be a rolled up towel or a cushion, but you want something that's not going to slip. So it's something that's quite firm. And we're going to do some upper back rotation. So to start off with, we want the knee that's closest to the wall up like this. So you don't want to be leaning on the wall, but you want to be as close to the wall without leaning on it, so you're upright, and so you can use the wall for some feedback on how the posture whilst you're doing this move. So to start off with, whilst you're kneeling in this position, make sure your pelvis is tilted forward, so no bums sticking out. And then the inner arm is going to sweep up and round, and you're going to twist so that you're trying to get your chest to face the wall, and then it comes back round. So as you lift that arm up and over, there is a tendency to lean away from the wall, or a temptation, and we don't want to do that. We want to try and keep ourselves as close to the wall as we can to encourage that movement in our upper back. Now I find this quite hard because my upper back is particularly stiff. It's stiff anyway, but it's definitely stiff today. Okay, and then we're going to turn around and do it on the other side. So the knee closest to the wall is up. Arms are out parallel to the floor. Bum is tucked under, and that inner arm sweeps up and round, trying to turn our chest all the way to the wall and then back round. And don't hold your breath whilst you're doing these. That's another top tip. And one more. They are not easy for me, but that's okay. We do what we can do, and if it's a bit challenging, we know that we work through the move as best we can, and it will get better over time. Right, so we're going to do a version of the crocodile, but again using the wall. And again, if you are seated, so if you can imagine I'm sitting in a chair, you can do this one. It's a similar sort of move, so you're twisting round and opening up your chest, aiming to get your hands as open and as wide as you can with the twist. So again, if you're able to kneel, then we're going to use the wall as a guide. This time it's the outer. I just need to move my mat. So I'm actually kneeling on the inner knee, and it's the outer knee that's up. So I need to move a little bit closer. Same setup. So bottom tucked under, no sticky out bottoms, hands out parallel to the floor. Now this time I'm opening up to the front. Now what the tendency here is to let this happen. We don't want that to happen. So we're going to work through the butt, through the muscles in the butt of this outside leg to stabilise that hip and keep that knee pointing forwards. And you're aiming to actually get some more movement through the back. Now, I cannot turn my chest any wider than that at the moment. Breathe out as you turn around. And one more. Okay, and we'll do the same on the other side to remind myself which knee have I just had up? Outer knee. Okay, so bum tucked under, we don't want bum sticking out, bum tucked under, nice and tall. And twist, try to keep, don't let this happen, try to keep that arm up. Somehow I feel I can move a little bit more on this side. Maybe I'm just waking up now. And then one more. Oh, that definitely feels better. Definitely getting some more movement in my back now, which is good. Last couple. So both a sort of stretch move now. The first one really targeting that upper back. If you are seated, you can do these by placing your hands flat on a tabletop or a window ledge or a work surface. So bending forwards from your hips with your arms out and pushing down. So you're aiming for getting some stretch through your armpits and squeezing your shoulder blades together on your back. Now I'm going to do these, hopefully I will stay in shot. I'm going to do these against the wall. So placing your hands a little bit higher, about shoulder height, but a little bit higher. And then you're going to stick your bottom backwards and lean into the wall, pushing against the wall so that you think of squeezing your shoulder blades together, arms straight, and just let your head relax. So you're trying to work through that upper back. So I'm just going to relax off. I'm going to do it again because the second time is always better. So pushing hard into the wall and pushing your bottom back behind you, stretching through your armpits. And trying to keep your shoulders, so you don't want your shoulders hunched up by your ears, keeping your shoulders back and down. And we'll do one more for fun. Bottom back. Okay, and then final one, standing or seated cat camel. So think about, again, in that good start position, nice stable balanced position, and you're going to clasp your hands, reaching as far forwards as you can, letting your chin rest on your chest, just for a nice stretch across those muscles in your upper back, and then bringing your shoulders back, your arms back into your shoulders. So starting there and then reaching forward. So we are really rounding our back now, and you should feel a stretch across those muscles that you've just been working. Back and relax, and then final one. Okay. So hopefully your upper back feels a little bit more mobile, hopefully a little bit more stretched. Shoulders will have been worked as well. Keeping your back moving little and often throughout the day is a good top tip. So trying to avoid things stiffening up in the first place. If you get to the point where things are aching, then it's an indication that maybe move a bit more will be my suggestion. She says I need to take some of my own medicine. Don't forget to check out the website, www.eatmovebehappy.com. Lots of online coaching ideas to look after your health and well-being. And if you live in the Wharfdale, Airedale or Craven areas, we have some funding available to support people who are living with chronic medical conditions like heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, or living with excess weight, to access some of our online coaching to be healthier and feel happier. So you may be eligible for some support with that. There are free places available. So please do contact us, or if you know of somebody that this might help, put them in touch with us, and we would love to be able to help more people. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and Movement Not Miracles will be back tomorrow.